Over the next few weeks, I wanted to make myself a series of little jars that had some eyeballs, some hearts, maybe a few brains. So today I'm going to show you how I made the eyes. Now what I'm going to be using is some polymorph. Now this one's flattened out. Normally it comes in beads, but this was leftovers from a mask that I'd made a while ago, and I'd left it flattened out, and you need to leave it in some hot water. Once it goes transparent, you can mould it. Now these are the jars that I'm going to be using to put the eyeballs in. Once the plastic has melted enough, I'm going to take it out of the hot water, and you'll probably want to use some tweezers. It will burn your hands if you just pop your hand straight into the water. And then I'm going to select the different sizes that I want. I'm going to have some larger eyeballs and some smaller eyeballs. The main thing to make sure is that it fits in the jar. I made one of them just slightly too big, which after I'd painted it and I was quite happy with it, was really annoying when it didn't actually fit into the jar. Once I've finished rolling all the different sizes I want, I'm going to put them on the side and leave them there to cool down. You know that they've cooled down completely and that they're not going to still be soft once they go a very opaque white, but these things cool down very quickly, so you won't have to wait too long. Now to paint it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sculpting tool, pop some blue tack on that, and then stick one of the little balls onto that so that it doesn't move while I paint it. Whichever eye colour you decide to paint, it's going to be pretty much the same technique for all of them. You want to start out with the darkest version of that colour as the base. Then you're going to be using a medium version of that colour down in the centre of the iris. So you don't want to have this too close to the pupil. But then the light colour, you want to have that mixing in the centre of the iris, but then also on the edge right next to the pupil. Now for the back of the eye, once I've painted the paint on the front of the eyeball, I want to wait for that to dry. I'm going to be taking some red paint and just popping that straight on my fingers and dabbling it onto the back, just to make it look a little bit more gross. You could use a paintbrush, but I found that it looked a little bit better if I applied it with my fingers. And also you get that interesting texture from your fingerprints onto the eyeball as well, which I thought made it look a little more disgusting, which is what I wanted, so I decided to go for that. I'm also going to do some blue eyes as well, and some green. Once I've painted the eyeballs, I'm going to hold the colour in place by going over it with some nail varnish. Now obviously you're going to need to do this in two stages. Paint the front where the eye is, wait for it to dry, and then paint the back. And then after a while you should start to have a little bit of a collection of different coloured eyeballs. Then you can go ahead, pop them in the jar, and that's it. You're done.